Hi, I'm Hugh Johnson, front of house engineer with Gill, and I'm here to talk about the new Waves plugin, GEQ Graphic EQ. The first thing I'd like to say is that they've done a great job emulating the function of the old hardware EQs. The one thing that does stand out effectively, this EQ does not phase shift the audio nearly or any and compared to the hardware EQs, which was always a problem for me if you did deep cuts from frequency to frequency. You could hear phase shifting, and of course, if you did a lot of deep notching, you could certainly hear and see on a scope phase shifting in the signal path. In comparison to the hardware EQ, this also has a classic and a modern version. In the classic version, the EQ functions in a more gradual way with a less steep slope between the EQ bands. In the modern version, it functions more like a good comparison is the Mesa EQ from Lake, the old Lake Mesa EQ, where when you cut a frequency or boost a frequency, the shelf is much steeper. Also, in addition to that, there's a high and low pass filter, and there's also a single band of parametric EQ. The EQ can be divided into individual mono EQs, can be mono in, stereo out, or it can be a stereo in, stereo out. So it's very versatile. The EQ is also SoundGrid compatible and multi-rack native compatible, which means that you can use it with almost any console, whether it's analog or digital, and depending on whether you're using the multi-rack native here, as I have it on my laptop, or in the SoundGrid version, you can take this anywhere and have a whole rack of EQs, just like you're have a standalone rack of hardware, obviously taking up much less space and being much more effective in general than the old hardware style EQs. I can tell you that this EQ is going to replace a lot of EQs for a lot of people, especially in the live world. It's very user-friendly in terms of live EQing and what a live engineer needs to have to be able to grab a fader and pull down a specific frequency. It also has a graphic analyzer allowing you to see exactly what your curve looks like, and it also compares, the analyzer function compares your frequency response to your actual graphic cuts and boost. So not only is it giving you a great sonic representation of what the old hardware EQs did, it's given you a visual representation, which honestly none of us had going for us back during the hardware days. So I think this is a great asset to the function and form of this EQ being a very user-friendly tool. So this is another great plugin from Waves. I'm constantly amazed by their ability to take hardware devices and turn them into plugins that function even better than the hardware devices did in the real world. And we continue to be surprised. My colleagues and I are all impressed and extremely excited when things like this come out that make our job easier, make our work sound better, and give us the ability to do better jobs.